Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome if you're new. I'm Stacy and today we are going to be painting this super cute owl. He's pretty adorbs and I have out my Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2 crayons, my Master's Touch 1.5 wash brush. Got it at Michael's. I have out my Princeton Neptune round number 8 and my Princeton Velvet Touch round number 6. And my spritzer. I'm going to spritz everything. I have out my beam paints as well. We're going to spritz those and get them rocking and rolling so that we can do our base. I'm going to do a base in paint and then finish with the Neocolor 2 crayons. And I mostly use them as a crayon to like color in and fill in and make a little bit of texture here and there. But I do wet some of it down later on. We're going to speed things up a little bit because this was an almost 2-hour painting. I'm sure you guys don't want to watch me for 2 straight hours unless it is a detailed tutorial step by step, and that is not what this is. This is more of a paint along with me kind of thing. I am listening to my book, Zombie Fallout number 13. We're in book 13 now. While I paint, I find that to be relaxing. And I am dropping in a blue in the sky. I believe, I do not have my swatch card out. I believe it's the ultramarine. At any rate, I wanted a little snowy, crisp winter feel to this piece, and that's what I thought this would do. So maybe he's up on the top of a branch, kind of balanced on the tip of the branch, and you can see sky behind him quite clearly. But there are berries way up here, which is probably why he landed. And he's got his cute little hat on. He's feeling it. He's feeling the holiday season. I'm going in with not a red. I don't really care for the true reds. They're not my jam at all. I find them to be too much for my taste. And I'm going in with more of a magenta color here. What is that? I keep finding little bits of things from opening presents for the kids. And then I did a little bit of splatter to make it look like kind of bokeh, like there's berries behind. You can kind of see berries behind on the tips of the branches, and they're a little more out of focus. A suggestion, if you will. And it also helps kind of balance out the piece. I forgot this little bit right here, so I went ahead and popped that in. And now I'm using that same berry, but mixed with the red. I'm going in with I could just pop the things out if I can read them. I'm going in with more of a true red, more of a orange red and the berry mixed together to kind of give a it is, yeah, I've got paint all over the labels. I can't read them now, and I don't feel like getting my swatch, so we're just gonna wing it. We're winging it. Basically a alizarin crimson mixed in with a magenta to get this kind of this color right here, this more I don't want to say blood red, but more of a berry red, a vintage red, if you will. And then a little bit of darker there for shadow. I'm not getting too carried away with details at this point. I'm just putting in base colors. Very beginning of the painting. Don't want to get too carried away with details because I can get lost in those right quick. I was thinking more along the lines of dropping in the base colors with, get the base colors on the paper. And this is, by the way, is 300-pound cold press Stonehenge or Strathmore, one of those. It'll be down in the description. It is a beautiful paper to work on, and I like to work on the 300-pound paper because I can work edge to edge without having to tape it down. It won't buckle. The way I work, it won't buckle and bend and tweak around too much. I usually work pretty water heavy, and this paper really helps me with that problem, issue, conundrum, if you will. It's been a day. Taking a little break from work to do the voiceover for this so that I can get it up for you guys. I was supposed to put it up on Friday, and then I meant to put it up last night for Monday, and I totally forgot. And now here we are mid-afternoon on Tuesday, and I'm doing the voiceover. So I apologize for this one being late. Yesterday was a long work day. So I did not get to the voiceover in the morning like I wanted to. We had a pretty busy work day yesterday. It's pretty busy today too, but I think I can pause for 30 minutes, I think. And no one will probably even notice. Yeah, once again, just popping in. I'm using a bunch of different browns and some metallics. I'm using that, that's one of my favorite colors too. It's I gotta grab it out though. Pink salmon. Something wild salmon. It's metallic and it's got some, it looks, when it's in the palette, it looks a little, you can see it right there, coppery in the little pot next to my pink water cup up there with the pink water in it. It looks coppery, but when you wet it down, it has a pink undertone. It disperses really nicely. It gives a lot of detail without a lot of work. So I'm layering in that, and I popped in a little bit of the just a brown, a basic brown, and some of the more red browns that I have in this palette. And I'm trying to get in a little bit of shadow, a little bit of groundwork on the shadows. Just a thin glaze of leftover paint on the brush. Nothing crazy. Trying to get that so the eye looks a little bit sunk in a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. I get carried away here in a little bit. Get carried away with my mark making. But I did drop in browns, deep, dark browns on the branch, darker on the bottom, of course, lighter in towards the middle and the top. Sometimes along the top edge, I'll put a little bit of dark, or I'll leave it really light, depending on which way I want the light to feel like it's coming from. But he's heavily blocking the light under his belly there, so that'll get darkened up here pretty quickly. And I meant to only do light shadows on his tummy, and I feel like here right now with the base colors down the way I have them, I feel like that's way too dark. Was starting to panic a little bit in my head, and I'm just letting it's already down, so you kind of gotta roll with it. And remember that watercolors dry a lot lighter, most of the colors. You can see the hat is already really light compared to how it was when we first started. That color is really seeping into the page, and when it dries, watercolor naturally dries several shades lighter. So that's what it's all about though. Lay down your bold color, let it dry, see what happens, lay in another layer and another layer. And watercolor is translucent for that reason, because you can layer color over color and make some really beautiful effects. And we're going to get into experimenting with that later on next year. I have some plans for some more formal lessons on the basics. Actually in a piece though, not just, I don't really find a lot of, I don't find it to be fun to paint like swatches of color over color. I would rather try it on an actual piece to see how it's going to work in the piece. So we'll be doing some of the glazing effects and whatnot. I do in most of my pieces, I do some sort of glazing technique or textures and whatnot. Right now I'm working with the tip of the brush. I got way carried away on this side of the eye. And now that I'm looking at the finished piece over there, it doesn't look bad, but his one eye looks much more prominent than the other. I think it just lends a little more cuteness to him. We're not all symmetrical. But I'm dropping in my deep black mixed with blue, because I don't really care for black it feels very flat to me. So I usually mix my black. I will use them, but I mix them with, I'll put a little purple or a little magenta or a little blue in there, or a bit of green, depending on the way I want it to cast. And when it dries, you can really see that difference, and you can play with that too. Get out your watercolors and just, as you're mixing, I do that too. Sometimes I'll have a piece of scrap paper. All my scrap paper's put away at the moment because it's the holiday season and grandkids are coming over. But I usually have a piece of scrap paper off to the side so that I can test a mix, like a glaze of it, a little thin wash of it, and then a deeper color and a deeper color to see what it's going to look like on the page before I put it in my painting. That's a good fun thing to do as well. It helps you with your color mixing and color theory. And I'm trying to do a little bit of, not too detailed on the berries. I don't want them to be the focus of the painting at all. I just want them to be a suggestion that, yes, these are berries. Ta-da! But I want his little face to be the focus. And it does. It does kind of, his little eyes pop out at you. Now that it's all dry and I have it on the wall over there, I'm keeping my paintings out so that we can do a little flip through at the end of the month of the Christmas paintings that I've done when I do the vlog. But the end of the month vlog, so the 25th day. The 25th day of the month, we'll do that, the Christmas paintings. And that's what I consider my December paintings are my Christmas paintings. They're my reason to paint holiday stuff. I'm dropping in some brown because I forgot about his tail. Got wrapped up in the rest of his little round body and I forgot, oh yeah, his tail. Oops. Probably should put that in. And a little blot because it got a little too dark for me. And it has dried down. And because this is time lapse, you're going to see this is all dried down now. And I'm going in on the hat first with I put them all away too. This is as close to a magenta color as I could get. Hold on, I'll grab it up. I'll tell you what color this is. These are Neocolor too, so they're water soluble. They're water soluble, and I call them a crayon because they look like a color crayon. You can use them as a pastel, you can use them as a color crayon, or you can use them like this, layer them down pretty heavily, and add water. The thing with these is, like with watercolors, there's a color shift. You know how watercolors are not the color they look like they are in a palette. When some of the darker ones, especially when you wet them, they're not black or gray or green. They're a lighter version or a surprising color altogether. At any rate, this has a color shift that you'll see here. It shifts much more bright and vibrant. So with the Neocolor 2s, I highly recommend, if you have them and you want to use them in a piece, do a swatch and dry like this so you can see what color it is dry, and then do another swatch next to it and see the variant of it wet, because it is, some of them, it's a vast difference color to color. And you can mix them together too. You can do all kinds of stuff with the Neocolor 2s. They're so much fun. We're going to be experimenting with all the art supplies. I'm so excited. I have some large pieces that I want to do for the walls in my new apartment. I have big blank walls, high ceilings, and I want to do some big pieces, mixed media pieces for the walls. So be on the lookout for that next year. In the next month or two, we'll be working on those throughout because I want paintings throughout the whole apartment. I decided to go in and really define those eyes and get them popping. You know, look at him. Look how cute he is. And I feel like this really, these Neocolor 2s, I just color them in here. I'm not gonna, I don't believe I wet the eyes down at all. They stay, I might wet them just a little bit. Nope, I don't. When you layer these over, these are firm. They're not soft like a pastel, like an oil pastel. They're very firm like a color crayon, but they blend nicely. Like they blend really nicely. So I put a little bit of white for the eye shine instead of the white of the paper, because it felt more appropriate. I got a little bit of gray in there, a little bit of the blue from the underneath the watercolor. Kind of picks up the watercolor a little bit and mixes it in. And the blue that I used to draw this with is peeking through a bit as well, and I'm not minding that because it does look like shadows, which is effective. I decided to go in with the, because I want a softer look around. The feathers are soft, so I want a softer look around those eyes. So I'm going in with the white, right over the brown and the gray and the, all the stuff going on, and it'll pull and blend those colors, and it softens the edges around his eyes from the brown into the white and the black into the white as well. They're very fun to work with. I highly recommend the Neocolor 2s if you want to buy something a little more pricey for yourself. And they do come in smaller sets. If you want to just sample them, you can get a set of 12 for, I believe, $15. Pretty inexpensive. And I've had these for 2 years now, and I use them semi-regularly. When I first got them, I used them for almost 2 months straight, and they're barely worn. The white I go through a lot, so I did pick up an extra white. So I had 3 whites now, and they're all broken because I break them when I'm using them. Just like I do with pastels. The white, I get too vigorous with it, and I break it. Plus, I need the side sometimes for mixing colors together and blending. And I'm going in with an ochre color now. Yeah, it's right here. 'Tis right here. I was going to do gold, but the gold's too yellow in this set for me. It's a weird yellow color, and I don't like it. So this is ochre. I use ochre, and I use a little bit of this orangish yellow is the name of that one. And then I use one of my bright yellows in a little while here too. You'll see me drop them to the side. I don't put them away as I'm using them. I've found that it's better to, I usually have a piece of tissue or paper towel to line them all up on. I don't know why I didn't do that this time. I wasn't thinking clearly. And I'll leave all the colors that I'm using for this painting all lined up so you guys can see them, and it also helps with keeping your palette cohesive. You can pluck from the colors you already have out from area to area on your piece. And this is just a bright yellow. It's called canary yellow. I'm trying to kick up that brightness in his eyes with this to make them a little more glowy, a little more vibrant. And I have the watercolor on his beak it's a little bit of yellow and a touch of orange and my pumpkin spice color that has the mica powder in it. That's my favorite color from Beam Paints. I like the mica colors from Beam Paints quite a lot, but that one, I need to get another one, you guys. It's almost gone. I'm going to cry when I don't have any more. If they don't carry it anymore, I'm going to be upset. I should probably look into that while I have a little bit of... I have a teeny tiny touch of dollars that I might be able to spend on myself for Christmas this year. Just a speck. So that would be something fun to get for Christmas, even if it came after the holidays. And I didn't want to forget about his tail again, so I dropped down and I'm working on the branch, getting that dark underneath his tummy. Because those feathers are kind of fluffed on top of the branch. And he's leaning forward a little bit over his little feet. It's cold out. His feathers are keeping his tootsie toes warm. But I'm going through and blocking in some of the dark browns on that branch, remembering shadows where they need to be underneath the branch at the very bottom, where he's overlapping, and then kind of textures, just scraping in some textures. You see the texture of the paper on the branch there. That will even that out in a little bit. And you'll see me bouncing from spot to spot. I do that a lot when I'm working on a piece. It helps to keep things cohesive and to keep your values correct. Something I've just picked up over the years, watching other artists and practicing myself. I'm going in with a soft, oh, this is a apricot. Yeah, this is the apricot color. Oh no, this is the light ochre color that I had. The orangish yellow. Going in around the eyes to kind of brighten things up a bit. Once again, to give that glow and a little bit of shadow and a little bit of brightness, to really make those eyes shine. And I'm just skimming over the surface of the paper. I don't want to color in because I know I'm not going to wet this area again. I just wanted a little bit of glow. And going in with the darker brown again here and deciding to pop in a little bit of texture for those feathers. Make it look like they're layered, you know. He's leaning forward so that line of ruffles is going to look differently this time than it does normally when I draw them. Usually when I draw an owl, they're sitting pretty straight up and down. And you get that ridge of vertical lines instead of the horizontal feather lines. And just textures for the feathers on his little wings, and a little bit more to balance out that it's too smooth, but I don't want it to be too textured, so I'm kind of just doing a skimming over the surface, and I leave most of this alone, just making him look more fluffy. Isn't he cute? He's already turning out so adorable. I got done with him, and when I was done with him, the evening I was working on him, I was not happy. Here I am just taking a wet brush. There's no paint on here, and I'm skimming, lightly skimming over the surface and minding my directions, because direction matters. And I was pulling color up and pulling color down and creating little feather textures. You guys probably can't tell, but I could really see it when I was doing it. The dryish brush helps with that. It's damp. It's almost completely dry. Just enough moisture to skim over the surface, because these colors they wet down really fast. You need almost no water with them. That's another thing to practice if you get these is water control, because if you use even a touch too much water, they disperse really rapidly. And it might surprise you. I know it did me. Especially when I thought I was using a deep dark red, and I wet it and it turned into this vibrant bright berry color. Threw me for a loop. I put a couple layers on that one. And I am working in, I believe with the white, yeah, I can tell by the way I'm holding it. And popping in some highlights on his little fluffy chest, because I got too dark, and this is my opportunity to go back, which is another thing you could do with these kinds of activities, you know, layering multimedia together. You can do this with oil pastels or chalk pastels, depending on your paper, colored pencil, gelatos, if you have those. I have a bunch of King Art artist sticks. What are you guys? Mixed media gel sticks. Those are fun. Those are all in a cup now, so that I can easily get to them. That's what I'm fooling with right now. You can layer those over, put a little bit of white over the top of the branch, kind of just to mix the color a little bit to soften that deep dark brown. And I almost forgot his little nostrils. He can't breathe without them. Poor little dude. Yeah, they can't breathe. And then a little bit of shadow. This is not with a black. I'm not using black. I'm using an indigo. I very rarely use black oh no, this might be the black because I used it in the eyes. Let me look. I gotta look now. It's right here. Oh no, it's the indigo. I lied again. Ah, rude. So rude. Yeah, this is the indigo blue. I've worn this one down just a bit. Indigo is one of my favorite colors. It's such a deep, dark blue. It's so great. And then I'm popping in color on his little Tootsie Toes to brighten those up so I don't forget. Decide to go ahead and block them in first with this ochre, and then go over the top with the other browns. And you can see I'm pulling from the colors I already have out on the table. And I'm dropping them pretty hard too. So she's probably be thankful that I'm not recording this live for you guys, because I work pretty loud when I'm not paying attention. Upside this table, that bong noise I had, that problem I had in New York when I had my camera on this arm directly hooked to my desk, it doesn't happen on this desk. This desk is nice and solid, so I don't get that weird bonging when I drop something on the table, which is, pretty great because you guys didn't like that. Little bit of shadowing around the eyes. Super cute. Oh, my arm got in the way of the focus of the camera. Putting a little shadowing underneath the edge of the hat. Not too much, just enough to differentiate the white between his little face feathers and the hat. They're kind of melding together a little bit, so I didn't want to get too carried away. And then I didn't feel like the under the wings was, that layer, that shadow under his little wings was deep enough. So I went in and just did some skimming, just a little bit of skimming of the color to deepen that. And I'm leaving a lot of this. I'm not going to wet any of this down. I'm liking the textures. I feel like it helps with the feeling of feathers. Plus it's fun mark making. A little bit of shadow there. And then I'm going back in with that deep dark on the wings because I feel like they're just a little too light. Just a touch too light. I don't want to go too dark because there's light shining down on them, but still. They needed to be darkened up a little bit. Just the back of that, the back feathers poking through the white feathers on his tail there. And then I'm not really caring for all of the weirdness going on that hat or the white of the paper. It doesn't read right for me. So I'm going in with the white. And then I decide to grab the bleed proof white because it is a good standby to have in your arsenal, especially for mixed media pieces. And make that the rim of his little fluffy white hat super white. Got a little carried away with this. But I wasn't really digging the dark pencil the way it was work on the top rim of the rim of the hat there. Bleed proof white is a really good tool to have. And it's if it feels pricey to you to buy it, I think it was like $7 for this teeny tiny bottle, but it is I've got two because I ordered one from Amazon and then I went to Michael's and I thought, I need one of these. And it was on sale, so I bought that one too. So now I have two. But they're slow wearing. The bottle's going to last a long while. I've had it for well over a year, and I'm not even halfway through it yet. And I use it pretty regularly. I feel like the little ball, the white on his hat was blending in with the sky too much, so I'm popping in a little more blue to help with a little bit of contrast. Not too bright. I didn't want it to be like a bold blue. I just wanted it to be a soft sky blue. That crisp, almost white blue of a really cool morning. And yeah, super happy with how this is turning out. In the moment I wasn't. Right now I am. In the moment I was very doubtful and not feeling it and just kind of rolling with the punches and listening to my book and trying not to overthink. Consciously thinking right here, don't use too much color, just a little pop, just a little. All right, wet that down. Blend that out. Want a little darker at the top, and as it goes down to get lighter and lighter. And that helps also with contrast. That little bit of gradation, I feel like is a little more interesting. A little more brightness on the branches, on those darks with the ochre color to give them a little bit of a bright glow. Really digging it. Really liking it. What do you guys think? Do you think he's cute? I think he turned out pretty cute. Not till the next day, though. After he was completely dry and I had time to walk away and come back in the morning when I walk by my desk. Because I leave it out on my desk overnight, whatever piece I worked on the night before. Because I know I need fresh eyes. I just don't consciously think of that in the moment. I'm putting in some darks and getting some contrast going on that little branch. But the next morning I walked by to grab my cup of coffee for the morning and I was like, oh, he's pretty cute. All right, cool. Because when I went to bed, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know if I like it. I might not even put this one up. But I do. I do. There are very, very few pieces of work that I do that don't make it to YouTube. Unless it's in my sketchpad, of course. But there are very few pieces that don't make it to YouTube videos. I think I had 3 pieces last year that I was like, nope, just no. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. And that's okay. Oh, here we go. I was wondering when I got to this. I'm trying really hard not to use too much water because I don't want to get that super vibrant pop. I just want to skim the surface and pull a touch of color up. So I'm, once again, super skimming the surface, barely touching the paper, glazing, light touch, feather light touch, because it'll pick up all of that chunky color I have in the corners there and disperse it everywhere really fast. And I don't want that. And I know that from practicing with these. You can lay down a big, dense layer of color and then it'll disperse the minute you get it wet. And you'll have to put more on. You can put more on. And you can do it while it's wet too. These are so fun. I decided that I didn't like the bright whiteness of the hat, so I'm putting in some shadows. Just a little bit so it looks fluffy. Like it's, like a cotton ball, but fluffy. With a little bit of shadow here and there. You guys know, right? That's pretty much it. That's all I do. Let me know what you think of this little guy in the comments below. I really appreciate you guys. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you stuck around for this little voiceover. If you did, maybe give me a thumbs up or a happy face in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Because we're done. Stop. See, I'm picking. I'm just picking. Nope, a little more here, a little more there. Oh, nope, just a bit more. Okay, now I'm done. Bye.